Hey guys, last fan of the night.
Last fan of the night.
What do we have here, your metalness?
And this is another acquisition I got from my kid friend from Fanimation, Dean. This Dayton or leading edge ring fan. It was just he was offering it and asked me if I wanted it, and yeah, I said sure, I'll take a ring fan. This may not have been something I would go totally out of my way for, but it was at a spot where I would easily get one if one was available.
Yeah, I was telling Pete, and I know I've said this on videos before, that for me, ring fans are something, as a kid, they were just there. You know, they weren't anything special, they were just there.
Yep.
And then once most of the ones from my childhood disappeared, I started to want them badly, and so now I really like them. And actually my favorite is that brown one that I have in the museum that I think is still there. I think that's one of the few of my fans that hasn't come down yet. Because that's the one that was in my childhood post office, had tons of brown ones. It's the only place I ever saw brown ones before. So that's pretty cool. And yeah. So anything else you want to say about this one before we test it?
Oh yes, well I know these for being a staple of most Toys R Us.
Yep.
A lot of other kids talk about seeing these, and also other collectors. Patrick Neese, I know, really likes these.
Oh yeah.
He's talked about Toys R Us having one, and it got replaced with like an Airmaster Mark 6 something.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen that happen too.
Yeah, where it's like, I think, aren't they those cheap Airmaster things?
Yeah, they kind of look like a bronze line with straight blades a little bit, or like a Menards Industrial with straight blades a little bit. There's some Farm and Fleets that have them now.
Okay.
I've seen them in Farm and Fleets. I've seen them just as a replacement for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, kind of like how these were that you were describing.
Yep, when I was a kid, these were the cheap replacement.
Yeah, they were like replacing better stuff.
Yep, because these replaced the... ironically, there was an arcade that had two of the Relight Airmasters, and then one of them got replaced with one of these on the Relight canopies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think of where else as a kid they were replacements. UW used to buy everything from Grainger, so all the Dayton labeled stuff. So that's why they had blender fans, cast Daytons, ring fans, Fascos, anything that Grainger sold. And Grainger sold a lot of cool fans, but Dayton was their house brand.
Right, yeah.
Dayton Lascos.
Oh, yeah. Those, yeah.
So, well, you want to put power to it?
Yeah, so this is another 0 to high.
What kind of inrush do you think it's going to be? I don't remember. I haven't tested one of these in a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to say small again.
I'll say big again, just as again, this is purely a guess. 8.5, that's, yeah.
And of course, now this one we discovered has shot bearings. They're just rumbly.
I wouldn't call them shot. They're not nearly as bad as we thought they were before we put a little oil and put blades on. They're because once the fan gets up to speed, the wind noise is louder than the bearings, and it runs fine. Like it does a great spin down.
Yep, down to 8.2.
Yeah, so it is big inrush.
Okay, so kind of big, but not.
Yeah, not huge. Well, it's still dropping too.
Oh yeah, to 8.1. I think that's what these are rated at. Something like.
Yeah, they draw more current than the envirofan versions. That much I remember. It's not 8.12 or 20. He's trying to sneak. Okay, well let's get some readings on it.
Okay, so we got. It's now down to 0.8. Yep. 0.8 amps. And 89 watts.
So fairly high power factor.
Yep. Close to 1, yeah.
Yeah.
9.1. Okay, so I'm going to go up there for...
Okay, let's get some readings.
Okay. So this one doesn't look as insane as the gold line.
But it's moving... I mean, I'm cold. Let's put it that way. I'm very curious to know what the CFM is of these.
Okay, I got 823 divided by 3.
Yep. So that's 274. That looks about right.
It does.
Just under 300.
Yeah, almost 300.
Let's get the CFM. That's what I'm really curious about.
Oh, yeah.
Because these we didn't think were that good of air movers, but let me tell you, I'm cold right now. So I think I'm thinking this will be in the gold line category.
Yeah, this is the space meant to...
they say that you're better off measuring CFM. That's why, like, we test the same fan here, the garage, and in the enclosure. It'll have the worst rating in the garage because it's the smallest space.
Oof. 570. 590. Got a quick 590, so I'm getting some good air.
That is about 10,100. So that is easily in the gold line category. In fact, that is more than some gold lines, but less than the new gold line we tested earlier.
Yeah.
Well, here you go. I'll give you your camera back. We can do spin down.
Yeah, that's right. Spin down.
I'm very also curious to see where this is going to start because, again, that'll also be an indicator of bearing health. I know the one that I used to have in my garage that I think is here somewhere, isn't it?
I think it is.
That one started around 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. Because I know we were able to use it on a learning remote, which had 5 as a low.
Yes.
But I don't think it started too much lower than that.
Yeah, but we do know that these... You got some other ring fans I know that are locked up completely.
Yeah, Tommy had asked me if he could work on those a long time ago. I should ask him if he's done working on them, if he wants to give them back. He just basically, he asked me, he said, I don't have any projects right now. Do you have any projects you could give me? And I gave him a bunch of ring fans to work on. And yeah, I should see what's up with those. It's been a long time. That was back when I didn't have a place to put stuff or a place to work on stuff. So it was just nice to, you know. But
that looks like a good spin down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we know that these particular models here, the bearings are just not that good. They tend to really wear out pretty quickly.
So what happened? The issue with leading edge products,
whether it's the flower pot, I know Home Depot.
I've
seen out of many at Home Depots, there's always 1 or 2 that are just not.
So the issue with leading edge products, and this includes the flower pots, the ring fans, and the cast Daytons, is that they draw more current than comparable other products like gold lines and other envirofan products. And that's because, and I've spoken to the guy from Leading Edge, he was very intent on making the most powerful fans that he could. Yeah. And he did. Yeah. And a 60-inch Dayton is more powerful than a 60-inch gold line. So, and this is more powerful than a silver line. So he did what he set out to do, but the downside to that is when you have more power, watts are a measurement of heat.
Yeah.
And a cast Dayton motor that draws more watts than a cast gold line motor is simply just going to get that much hotter because it's not like that's got that much more casting. You know, if the motor was that much bigger, then it might, you know, if it had proportionately equal heat sink capabilities, then fine. Yeah. But what happened was this is maybe even a little smaller than a silver line motor.
Yeah, it's a stamped steel motor.
And there's not much place for the heat to go. So it's drawing more watts than a silver line and doesn't have any place for that heat to go. And so it's just, they just don't last as much as the ones that draw. And that's generally speaking, if you have 2 motors that are the same and one draws more current, that one's going to, I guess wattage is more important than current because wattage is a measurement of heat.
Okay.
And, and so if it's a low power factor, that also can mean a lower wattage and therefore a lower heat. But for the most part, did we check the power factor? Yeah, we did on this. This is damn near 1. So
yeah, it was. We did.
Yeah, I know. I think these bearings are okay actually, and I wonder if what we used to call treating the bearings. I wonder if we treated these, if it would be even more usable because it's gotten quieter since we've been playing with it. And it's clearly not stiff. It's just so with the rumbly noise is what happens when something gets in the bearings and one of the bearings isn't smooth anymore.
Yeah. And
so it's like two or more ball bearings rubbing against each other that aren't smooth. Usually it's pitting. Usually what happens is they rust, and then when we put WD-40 in there, the rust goes away, but there's little pits in the...
Right, I've cleaned up lots of rust.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You may clean up the rust, but
then... you can't put the pitted metal back.
No.
So... they'll work fine, but they'll be loud as shit if they're badly pitted. But this doesn't seem bad. This seems like, you know, because now look at that spin down. Let's see where it starts. Oh, it's still a little stiff. It has a little bit of that backwards motion. That means it's. So where do you think it's gonna start your metalness?
I'm gonna say 5.
I'll say 4 then.
Okay, because I just don't think it's gonna start low.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Oh, saw it budging.
I did too.
I said 4, 5.
Yeah, it's going for sure on 5.
Yeah, I think did I guess 5?
You did guess 5. So Metal Pete has this one, and 5 I think is pretty close to what my one in my garage start. I would have to go back and look for a video of it, but I know that we had it on 5 for the learning remote.
Right.
And it was a good low in the garage.
I mean, right now it's actually running pretty good.
It's running great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else?
What?
Crunch. Well, not there yet though.
6.
Sometimes I will just crunch randomly at Pete.
7.
Uh-oh. I'm worried about what could happen after 7. I don't know, Pete. It's not looking good.
And here comes 8.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Crunch, 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 crunch. I don't know if you remember when I had one of these in my garage. I also had a Pro Line.
Yeah.
And the Pro Line's bearings were worse than this.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember this is exactly what they sounded like on a lower speed, but they got worse when they got high, and this seems about the same on all the speeds.
I remember the white, I call it the Braxton Pro Line.
Yeah. Because I could hear those up in my bedroom. Yeah.
Well, this is a good medium low right here.
I agree. What is that?
That's
8.
8. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I'm thinking that 5,
5, 8, and 13.
Yep, here's 9.
Yeah, this is a solid performer, surprisingly.
10. It is, and definitely the right environment causes the air movement to take place.
Yeah, it's just the blade design is a factor too, because certain blades work better in certain spaces.
Right.
But you really want to test air movement, you need a big space like this, where there's plenty of room above, below, and on either side.
Yeah.
It's always best to test out here when we can. We haven't tested in my garage in a long time.
I know.
I mean, we can do it this winter if it gets really cold, but honestly, when we test in here and we just put the heater,
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Right.
Even on those brutally cold days. We got a pretty good system out here, your metalness.
Here is 11.
Oh dear, I worry about what could happen after 11, don't you?
Yes.
Might get dangerous.
Ready? And here comes 12.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Crunch, 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 crunch. Somebody commented on one of my videos and asked, why do you make sound effects at 8, 12, and 20? Because it's one of our sponsors.
Dean asked, I like the part when you go crunch, crunch. He doesn't understand it.
Did you explain it to him?
As best I could.
Yes. It's because certain people are not supposed to chew during videos because they chew too loudly. I won't say who, but whoever it is very metal. It might in fact be the most metal. That's actually a good tangential question. Is there anyone more metal than Metal Pete?
I don't know.
They would have to have metal in their name, first of all. Otherwise, they couldn't possibly be more metal. Because if they would, they'd have metal in their name. So even I think of like, what's your vocalist's name? Death Puncher or something like that from Cannibal Corpse. What's his name?
Oh, Corpse Grinder.
Corpse Grinder. Yeah,
His real name George.
Yeah.
He puts that as like a middle name.
Yeah.
But Fisher is also his last name.
Yeah. Well, we could also call him Metal George. But you like Corpse Grinder. Corpse Grinder is
Corpse
better.
Grinder is the name he's gone by.
That's pretty metal.
And Nathan Explosion is actually kind of a mimic of him. Brendan Small made a mimic of that guy.
I know.
Both his physique and his style.
That's such a good show.
But that's who he's mimicking.
That's
for Nathan
such a good
Explosion.
show.
That guitar player, Swiss Scar the Blonde.
Yeah.
He's mimicked after a couple of people. One is a guy named Alexi from Children of Bodom, who's dead now. The other, his playing is from Malmsteen.
I knew it was Malmsteen.
That was where he gets his guitar playing style. Here's 13, 14. Got a good range of speeds on this.
It does.
Yeah,
who's the drummer modeled after? Do you not know?
I believe Devin Townsend. He had like red hair that was fading.
Gotcha.
But he's not a drummer, though.
Oh, okay.
But they modeled, and then there's 15.
So he wasn't like modeled after a specific drummer,
No.
but the way that the vocalist was.
Yeah.
Such a good show. And that theme song, that's a great song. I think that's my favorite song of theirs. Like I like it better than some of the others. It's one of my favorite metal songs, even, I would call it.
And that Murderface Black Sabbath bass player named Terry Geezer Butler kind of looks just like him.
Gotcha.
They,
Sometimes I call Chandru Actually, I think Nia started it. We call Chandru Murderface.
oh?
Yeah. Doesn't he kind of look a little bit like Murderface?
Yeah, but he then, where he gets his one edition fans, usually it's the lighted housing fans, where he's like, on this week's edition of Cocaine,
Yeah.
or any, like, contemporary type fan, they'll say, that's, of course, Dr. Roxo.
Well, okay. Let's keep moving.
Okay, 17.
Yeah,
18.
those bearings didn't turn out too bad. I think they could even get better with a little. The thing to do would if is we could get lithium grease in there without opening it up. Once you open it up, you might as well replace it most of the time, unless they're really really stuck. In which case, sometimes it's better to re-grease them. There's a couple of fans that I opened them up and the bearings were so stuck in there that I would have had to cut them out.
Yeah.
So I just re-greased them and they ran like new.
Okay.
But most of the time, if you're going to open it, you might as well replace them.
Right. Here's 19.
Uh-oh, I worry about what could happen after 19, don't you?
Yeah.
Welcome to the danger zone.
Yep. And here comes 20.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Crunch, 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 crunch. So when my camera wasn't running, Pete pointed out that we were still under, which is an important point. We're barely under, but we are under. Crunch, 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 crunch. The only thing I don't like about this A1220 is they're a little harder to eat without making a mess, especially if I want to share some of yours.
Yeah.
Just because they're so tiny.
Right. Yep, here's 21.
You get a lot of A1220 that I wouldn't. Well, I don't normally buy candy that much in the first place, but even if when I do, I normally wouldn't buy the stuff that you buy. So it's kind of a nice treat that I don't normally always get when I get to share the A1220. I like the bottle caps.
Oh yeah, I like those too.
I remember those from childhood. Oh, okay, we're over. I didn't.
Buy a hair.
Nose here.
Okay.
Okay, so what do we got next? Solid state.
Yeah, let me get up there.
He's gonna get up there. What's the first line of the Metalocalypse song? Well, do anything for a death clock. Do anything for a death clock. Do anything for it. I'm just trying to remember. It goes, I show you who rock. And then what comes next?
Oh.
If Pete's gonna keep bringing up Death Clock, then I have to have that song's gonna be stuck in my head. It's a great song. And I'm not like the biggest metal fan the way that his metalness is, but I like Metalocalypse and I like that song. And I like Brendan. Brendan Small's a phenomenal musician.
Yep.
He can play a lot of genres too. He's not like genre specific, because like his other show that I really like, which was Home Movies, it had metal in it, and it had also like kind of some bluesy stuff and more. Like he had a lot of different genres of music in it.
All right.
How loud do you think it's gonna be? And this is a pure guess because we haven't tested one of these in a long time.
Oh, I think living room quiet.
I'll say bedroom. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Oh. Way quieter than I thought. It's not buzzing away.
I'm not. So far, it's silent.
Yeah. And that hum is just not enough to call it.
No, that hum might have been there before.
Right, it's just what it is.
It doesn't sound like solid state hum. It just sounds like a motor. I think we can call it silent. What do you think?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm comfortable calling it silent. Okay. Well, how metal are these?
These are, just quality kind of knocks them down a little bit, but
Well, honestly, the quality's better than I realized in this video because the air movement's way up there.
yeah, that's true.
And honestly, there's
starting to, because I was not impressed with them before.
Yeah.
I think the reason being is because of, like you said, where we were testing them, your garage and the attic just didn't have the space to create airflow.
not like we do here. This is a more appropriate way to test big fans.
Yep, and so based on getting a huge airflow, like almost gold line.
Oh, no, well into gold line.
Yeah, so well into gold line that it just kicks it up into the extreme metal. Definitely.
For me, definitely. I like it. I would definitely put these in the Menards category. I like them. I like the 56 inches best. I know other people prefer the other sizes. The 56 inches are my favorite sizes.
Well, that's what this one
That's what this is. That's what my one that was in my garage is, and that's what my brown one is. Okay. Well, it's time to thank our sponsors. So let me pull that up.
This video is brought to you by the following sponsors: Sandstick, Lightstick, Taco Burrito Mexico, Sperry, the beverage of fan collectors, The Good Manufacturing Company, 81220 LLC, where our motto is crunch, 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 crunch. rickorsheep.com, a fun game you can play with your friends. For more information, go to rickorsheep.com. Power Vacuum, the vacuum with more vacuums. Udong Batteries. When I think of batteries, I think of Udong.
Major funding for this series is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the annual financial support of viewers like you.
Well, I guess that's it for this video. There's nothing else to talk about today. Oh, wait. Who's that at the door? I will have to aim the camera downward so I can see who's at the... Why, look, it's Metal Jonas. How about those organ pipes, Metal Jonas?
Oh, lovely organ pipes. Ooh, this one is...
Perhaps. Did you sneak those out of the organ room?
Oh, maybe.
I think that's where Metal Jonas gets his organ pipe. Speaking of which, what do you think of House on the Rock, Metal Jonas?
Oh, House on the Rock. One word. Incredible. One word. Overwhelming. One word. Amazing.
Wow. Well, I think that about covers it for this video. We'll be... Actually, I want you to look. Are you going to do a video from the warehouse, your Metalness? Or are you going to let me do that one? And
I think I was going to have you do that.
Okay. So look to my channel we got a video coming of the warehouse this week with metal. Yes. The previous video did not have enough metal. Now, it had plenty of metal in that there were metal halides, there were fluorescents, there were blender fans, but there was a component of metal that was missing. The most important component of metal, his Metalness himself, Metal Pete. So we'll expect a full metal demonstration from the warehouse with all 14 blender fans. Is that how many blender fans?
Like that.
And one of the most metal installs we've done. So keep tuned for that. But this is the last fan of tonight. Yes. So as always, thanks for watching. By PowerMate and
Fan Stick.
Thanks for watching.